Okay, I think I might have a solution to this. As you know, in a debt-based economy, toxic assets, made up in the form of defaulted loans and such, end up getting circulated around the private side of the economy, much in the same way as hot potatoes. And they have to be gotten rid of somehow out of the private sector. And the only way that I can really think of it is if they were paid as taxes to the government, getting them out of there, since taxes supposedly destroy wealth or assets. So here's what I'm thinking. I need to come up with a plan that would not only allow for the government to get its full revenue each year, but I need to have the government get its full revenue each year without necessarily taxing the people at the point of transaction to oblivion. And at the same time, find a way for toxic assets to basically get out of the economy, because in my mind it is toxic assets and not necessarily fractional reserve inflation that is causing devaluing of the dollar. So here's what I propose. Instead of taxing everybody at the point of transaction, what I think we ought to do is calculate the entire intended federal tax bite that is now imposed upon the nation, multiply it by anywhere from 100 to 250, and take that whole amount and charge it as a tax due to the Federal Reserve itself, and demand them they pay up immediately, or issue a promissory note back to Treasury. Here's the king. Inside that promissory note that Fed would send back to Treasury, we would set the terms as 1,000 years to pay back the loan to pay the tax. And the federal government will accept toxic assets valued for toxicity as payment toward this loan. So the Fed sends the promissory note over, and once in the Treasury's hands, Treasury then accepts it, gives Federal Reserve a token, and puts it back into the Fed's vault. They leave it there. Okay? Let the down payment that the Fed makes to Treasury be all the Congress-originated Treasury notes, or bonds if you like, that are in their possession, that they are collecting yields and maturities on. Let that be the down payment. Once those are in Treasury's hands, Treasury can then destroy them. Then, once the payment token has been given over to the Fed, it is held over there, and remember the multiple that I gave you about the tax imposed? Well, here's the way it is. We set the interest rate that we make Federal Reserve pay us to be anywhere between 0.457 to 1%. And we limit our spending to that level. If we spend over it, therefore the interest rate could go up. And I may not be explaining all of it. And therefore, the federal government would not have to float another bond into the economy, to either foreign or domestic, anymore, because now the interest that is coming from the down payment is being converted into a spendable account at Fed for the government to draw upon to be able to spend in the economy. And once it hits there, it's like the interest that makes up the difference that was before missing in the debt-based system. I have more to speak about later, and I might want to elaborate on here on this topic just a little bit more. Stay tuned, folks.